Go.
All right. I picked up some information about Christmas in England, and it's important to note that in 596, St. Augustine brought Christianity to England, so that would be the beginning of their celebration of Christmas. The people that originated the Christmas card in 1840, the first Christmas card was posted, as they say over there. And in a similar time period, the Christmas tree was popularized by Prince Albert, who was Victoria's husband. It originated in Norway, according to my information.
The Christmas
The
tree
Christmas
did? I
tree.
heard that too.
Yeah.
I didn't. That wasn't in
So,
mine.
coming from Philadelphia, this is a really special one to me. They would do Christmas plays, and they called them mumming, which is like pantomime. And of course, you know, in Philadelphia they have the Mummers Parade on New Year's Day,
Yeah.
so that fine tradition has hung on. Father Christmas was what they called Santa Claus. And on Christmas Eve, they would gather and do singing at people's places, at their homes. Hark the Herald Angel and the Holly and the Ivy were very favorites, very popular. And the children would tie, on Christmas Eve, they would tie either a stocking or a pillowcase, I guess that's for the greedy ones, at the foot of their beds so that they could get presents. And on Christmas Day, then, they opened the presents, they went to church, and they came home for a midday meal. And that was either goose or chicken or beef, and the vegetable was Brussels sprouts. So, hence Brussels sprouts today. They've also had mince pies and Christmas pudding. And the pudding actually originated from what was the breakfast entree, or the breakfast dish. They had fermented a corn porridge. It was called fermenti, and they would cook that and have that for breakfast and nothing else until this big dinner. And eventually that turned into this great elaborate thing that we know of as the English Christmas pudding with the plums and all the...
We would have liked that.
I should have brought one. And the one thing that they did when they made that was everyone took a turn stirring.
Wow.
So they could make a wish as they stirred.
And was their major meal then Christmas Day evening?
Midday.
Yeah.
Midday. And the other thing that they did was the cook, presumably the wife in England, would drop a little trinket into the cake, and then whoever got that, their wish would come true. So that was a little good luck thing. They also had crackers, which they would pull at dinner, these little, well, actually I forgot to get them out of the bag. I brought crackers for us. And you pop them apart, and there's either a trinket or a party hat or some silly thing inside. And they were invented in 1846 by a baker. I'm not quite sure what that connection is. Later on in the day, they have a Christmas cake, which usually has marzipan and icing, and it's a rich fruit cake. And after the meal, though, before they get to the Christmas cake, everyone sits down to hear the Queen's broadcast. And it's usually, I believe, at 2 o'clock their time. This year, it's going to be on the web. I don't remember if I heard it was YouTube or something else, but anyway, she's getting with the program. The day after Christmas is called Boxing Day, and that's the day when you get little boxes and you put either food or money into them and give them to service people that help you during the year, delivery people, tradesmen, and the like.
I never knew what that Boxing Day was.
Yeah,
I thought it was a sport.
I was too, and they still celebrate that up in Canada. So, the mistletoe began as a druid tradition, and the Romans took it to be a symbol of peace. So from peace, somebody made the giant leap to kissing. And the English were the first to use mistletoe at Christmas. So that is all I know about the mistletoe. I didn't bring Christmas cards, which would have been a good idea. and the plum pudding with plenty of brandy. I didn't bring that either.
Next
And
year.
I guess I'll have to do them next year. And I didn't bring mistletoe. That would be another nice one thing. But Tom would be too busy kissing everybody. So that's it. I'm getting the crackers out and I'll put them at your places.
Round of applause.
Good.
Very good.
Thanks, Tom. You can turn it off.
We can turn it on.
Red button.
This is more of a concept. It does not involve the, any Christmas traditions, any Christian traditions, except that I got started on this because of the reindeer. That those of you who know me know that I have a little penchant for remote places, and I also have a penchant for the reindeer. So how could I miss not getting totally absorbed in what used to be called Lapland, which is now called Sammyland? And I got started by hearing this woman sing on recording on NPR. I said, what is this? It's so captivating to me. And they said, this was this album has just been released by this woman from Sammyland. I said, Sammyland? Where is Sammyland? So I started looking at this actually last year and leapt to the chance of trying to find reindeer origin out of Sammyland, because their number one industry is reindeer herding, animal husbandry with reindeer. So that's what this is about. It's going to be brief. First of all, Sammyland is not a discrete country. It consists of lands in the Arctic Circle that are above the Norway, Finland, and Sweden. And if you care to, I've got the map pulled up, because although they have their own flag, which was established in 1994, they don't have a discrete government or a discrete there's no boundary line, because they encompass those three countries plus Russia. And they have a culture because of the reindeer. They're people of the reindeer. So right now, I spent a lot of time trying to find the remote international weather site, because Yahoo didn't have it. But Martha, what was your temperature this morning in Utah?
It was about 34 when I left, and then I drove over a pass where it got down to 28.
Wow.
Okay, well, Hammerfest is 30 degrees today, and I would really like to show you where Hammerfest is. That's in the Sammyland area, and it's actually at the very tip in the Arctic Circle. It's 30 degrees today.
Global warming.
And another place called, I particularly like this name, Jokkmokk, Jokkmokk, that was only 9 degrees yesterday, but they had their sunrise at 10:30, and their sunset is 12:45, so they just have 2 hours
Right.
of sunlight today. However, they say that there's 5 hours of usable light going on right now. And let's see, here is the flag of Sammyland, which I think is nice and contemporary looking flag with the circles. I'm sure they all mean something about unifying the countries.
Sculpted inside, or is that furrowed?
It's furrowed. This is a picture, a crude picture of the Norwegian, Sweden, and Finland countries, and the red part with Sami people.
Do you know, was Lapland a country at one time, and is there?
I don't know. I don't know.
But there are no definitive borders?
No. Now,
Country.
yeah. Reindeer are still fundamental to the culture of the Sami people. And it also includes, some of the Samis are into Alaska and the northern part of Canada. Now, they used to be called the Laps, and that stood for a patch of cloth for mending. And it got to be more of a pejorative term to be called a Laplander, so they changed it to Sami. And let's see, they have their own language that is called Uralic, U-R-A-L-I-C. It's related to Hungarian, Estonian, and Finnish, parts of it. And the one word that they for sure have 300 words for snow and ice. But the word that we may be more familiar with that we use is tundra. That's one of their words. And let's see, I wanted just to mention just a few things about the reindeer, because that's what I wanted to focus on finally, is they use the reindeer for transport and for milk. And of course, if they're one of the survival people, or if they're on subsistence, meaning they just use that which is available in the land, they will use every part of the reindeer, the skin for the clothing, and tendons and sinew for rope and threads. So they have, this area in the Arctic is actually a lot of land up there, unlike Antarctica, which is very small in land. And 1/4, because of all that land, 1/4 of the land in the world is used for reindeer husbandry. So 1/4. And a use for one of the medicinal uses for the deer is, you're aware that they have velvet on their antlers, and deer antler velvet is good for arthritis, and the Chinese have used that, but it's a particular kind of, there's qualities to this, and you need to get the velvet at the tips of the antlers, which would probably be maybe the most mature, I guess. And it's related to the collagen system in our bones, so that's why it's been found to be helpful. I was interested to look in Chinatown and see if there was any deer antler velvet. Let's see. So what I wanted to do, I know this is probably be a little corny, because I'm going to mix my cultures here. Lana brought her chandelier, candelabra, because I didn't have anything like that. And I wanted to say that in the Chinese culture, with our Tai Chi, there is a reverence for the deer in the Chinese, and there's a deer posture, which is supposed to be a way of connecting with heaven. And that's why the deer is supposed to have a spiritual significance. The antlers going up toward heaven are supposed to be able to connect with God. So I thought I could show you the deer posture. We could end on doing the deer posture, and you could get that sense of connecting with our source through the deer posture.
Lucky you, Sarah.
No, Sarah has to turn it off and do this.
Well, you go first. Let me do it on you. Show us first.
Okay. Show us which one it is. Okay. Is this a Tai Chi move?
It's one of the Qigong moves.
Tai Chi.
So You always get your feet shoulder distance apart so that they're nice and relaxed. And your knees just have a slight bend in them. You never lock your knees. And your hands are going to be representing the antlers. And you're going to reach up to heaven like this, turning with your palms out and connecting with the heavens above. And then you're going to come down and pull your antlers into your body. Turn your hands. And if you can, go on your toes. So you're reaching up on your toes.
Well, I'm just delighted you shared them.
Oh, we always share, don't we?
Yes, I love those, Scotty.
Okay, Doc, what are you recording?
Well, Lana is
wait,
going
let's get
to
Tom.
talk about Norway.
Norway. And
Norway.
How do they say it in Norwegian?
good jul
Good
Say
you.
again?
good jul is Merry Christmas from Norway. Originally in Norway, Christmas was a pagan holiday. It wasn't Christmas at all. It was the winter solstice, and it was used to celebrate the coming of the sun. And then it was turned into Christmas, and I didn't think that was a very pleasant story, how they did that and maneuvered it all, so I kind of skipped over that.
But that's in every tradition, though.
Apparently so. So I thought this would be nothing new for anybody. Norway is the birthplace of the Yule log, and apparently the Christmas tree, as I learned today. But the Yule log supposedly is why the fireplace is so popular around Christmas time, because it's a central part of the Christmas celebration. And everything that we do with light or candles or fireplace apparently goes back to the Norske Yule log, which we have one at our house, you'll see on Saturday night. It's probably also the reason why so many things are shaped like a log at Christmas time, a cheese log, and other things, and desserts. Our preparation, the Norwegian preparation for Christmas, is to bake. And so we have this marvelous excuse to eat and eat and eat. And so it's in the genes. I don't intend to fight it. Traditionally, we are supposed to bake at least 7 different kinds of cookies, which in our family, that would have been the absolute minimum. There were many types of cookies baked. And you can start ahead of time because there's so much butter in them. They'll stay for years. It just doesn't, if you find a few cookies in July, you can eat them. They're good. So. But we would never serve any Christmas cookies until Christmas Eve. That's Christmas Eve dessert, and they're put away, packed away, and the kids know they can't get into them. We also make candles, which our family did as well, and part of the Christmas as a celebration of light. We only like to use white lights on our trees. Americans like to use colored lights, but the Norwegian heritage is to use white only.
And Lana has followed in all of these traditions.
Yes, white, white, white.
And she's also known as Miss Campbell.
Now, all of those are not white, however. But unbeknownst to me, a lot of the things that we did in our home followed these traditions. I just didn't know why we were doing them. Okay, I'll tell you about the julebaking now. What julebaking really is, traditionally, is the day after Christmas, the kids dress up and go house to house to get treats or money or something like that.
Now it's called again?
That's called julebak. And it's the day after Christmas. It would be similar to our trick and treat that our kids do. However, it's been changed, or at least it was in our tradition, it was changed. Starting about the 2nd week of December, you were in danger of being julebakt. And that meant that one couple would start it, and they would show up at your house demanding food and especially booze. And there was no way you could say no. So, everybody would ask each other, okay, you got your booze, you got all your baking and your cooking done and everything, because you could be Yule log. And the later the better. And the idea was, you got Yule log, you could not say no if you were in bed. They came and got you out of bed. We've had parties all night in our pajamas. But the idea is, then you get Yule log, everybody drinks and eats at your house, then you go with them and descend on the next victim.
Oh, boy.
Until you have this huge group and you've probably partied all night.
I love that.
It was a fun thing to do,
That's a good
but
thing.
you better be prepared, because if your friends showed up and you had no booze and no snacks and nothing to feed them,
You had no friends.
you had no friends. I mean, you have been Yule log and you've got to do your part here.
Leftover lutefisk doesn't count.
No, it doesn't count. You had to give them good stuff.
Good stuff.
But you really had to have your house stocked with food and booze by the second week, because they were coming. But you never knew when.
Did it happen more than once throughout the holiday?
It could. Everybody is fair game. And if you got the knock on the door, and just to be nice, they would probably sing maybe the first sentence of Silent Night, Holy Night. That was it. And you've been Yule log and get the drinks out.
We get started.
That's what we're doing. Those were kind of the preparations, and our family did them as well. On Christmas Eve in our tradition is the biggie. Christmas Day doesn't mean all that much, but Christmas Eve is when we celebrate, is when we eat, is when we go to Mass, well, if you're Catholic. That's when everything happens. And we clean the house. There's a lot of cleaning preparation for the Norwegians. And on that day, you re-clean. So everything is absolutely totally fresh. And at 4 o'clock, you have to stop cleaning no matter where you are. Everybody takes a bath and they dress up to the nines. You're very clean, you have new clothes on. So the women would wear cocktail dresses, the men would be in suits, and it was a very formal occasion. The dinner always included pork. As I grew up, it was pork. I served ham because it was easier and I liked it better. You would have dinner, and then you would open gifts, and it would go on and on and on and on. And that was the end of Christmas Eve. Traditionally, some families would decorate their tree on Christmas Eve. We never did. It was always just, there it is. And one of the cookies that we baked is called krumkaka, and among those 7, and so I baked some for you guys, so you could share the tradition.
Oh, how nice.
And this would be a very typical Norwegian cookie.
Say the word again.
Krumkake. Krumkake, and it's made with an iron.
That's very
So
nice.
you can always tell a Norwegian woman because her fingertips are burnt from making krumkake. Because you put it on an iron, and then you roll it up when it's really hot. And that's how you make that. So the Norwegian word for thank you is manatak. Manatak. And so I'd like to end with thanking you for including me, and Sarah especially for having this idea. I learned a lot. It was fun.
Okay, you're on.
Okay, I'm doing Iraq for a couple reasons. To kind of, number one, in the holiday, we're kind of reminded to love our enemies. Number two, we've got a lot of people over there right now that probably don't have the fortune that we have to be with our family and our friends. And C, to remind us that there are people just like us everywhere that are, suffering, that have some similar traditions. And to be
Go in the light.
Okay.
Way back.
Okay. Well, let me make that. So,
Starting in the sunlight.
okay. Well, as you can see here, you're going to need to see the fire.
Do what? Okay,
Fire?
I'll get the fire.
Okay. As we can see, we have a fire going, and a tradition in Iraq for Iraqi Christians is to burn thorns. And
What is that, honey?
thorns. Well, they have thorns on them. So I'm going to put these on the fire, and I don't think this is going to happen, so I don't think this has an effect on us, but if the thorns turn to ashes, then the family has prosperity for the coming year.
Oh.
And these are a little wet. These aren't dried like they're supposed to be, so I just, this is my wishing everyone fortune this year. Especially all of the soldiers and poor people in Iraq that aren't as fortunate this year. And while this is burning, it's burning okay. Yeah. While this is burning, what they do is they read the nativity story, which is more traditional than anything we've really done today. So
There's a little bird.
I'm going to read.
Oh, no, not hummingbird.
Oh.
Oh, I like it. Thank you. You're so soft. Hi, honey.
Oh, pretty magenta.
Yeah.
Okay. See where it is right here.
Yes, another one.
Okay.
We're listening. We're done going.
Okay. This is the story of the birth of the Messiah. Mary, his mother, was betrothed to Joseph. Before their marriage, she found that she was with child by the Holy Spirit. Being a man of principle, at the same time wanting to save her from exposure, Joseph desired to have the marriage contract set aside quietly. He had resolved on this when an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream. "Joseph, son of David," said the angel, "do not be afraid to take Mary home with you as your wife. It is by the Holy Spirit that she has conceived this child. You will bear a son, and you shall give him the name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins." All this happened in order to fulfill what the Lord declared through the prophet. "The virgin will conceive and bear a son, and he shall be called Emmanuel, a name which means God is with us." Rising from sleep, Joseph did as the angel had directed. He took Mary home to be his wife, and he had no intercourse with her until her son was born. And he named the child Jesus. Jesus was born at Bethlehem in Judea during the reign of Herod. After his birth, astrologers from the east arrived in Jerusalem, asking, "Where is the child who is born to be the King of Jews? We observed the rising of his star, and we have come to pay him homage." King Herod was greatly perturbed when he heard this, and so was the whole of Jerusalem. He called a meeting of chief priests and lawyers of the Jewish people, and put before them this question: "Where is it that the Messiah is to be born?" "At Bethlehem in Judea," they replied, and they referred him to the prophecy which reads, "Bethlehem in the land of Judea, you are far from least in the eyes of the rulers of Judea, for out of you shall come a leader, and to be the shepherd of my people Israel." Herod called the astrologers to meet him in private and ascertained from them the time when the star had appeared. He then sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and make a careful inquiry for the child. When you have found him, report to me so that I myself may pay him homage." They set out at the king's bidding, and the star which they had seen at its rising went ahead of them until it stopped above the place where the child lay. At the sight of the star, they were overjoyed. Entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and bowed to the ground in homage to him. They then opened their treasures and offered him the gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And being warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned home another way. After they had gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Rise up and take the child and his mother and escape with them to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you, for Herod is going to search for you, for the child to do away with him." So Joseph rose from sleep, and taking the mother and child by night, he went away with them to Egypt, and there he stayed until Herod's death. Okay, just a little bit more here. This was to fulfill what the Lord had declared, and through the prophet, "I call my son out of Egypt." When Herod saw how the astrologers had tricked him, he fell into a passion and gave orders for all the massacre of children in Bethlehem and its neighborhood of the age of 2 years or less, corresponding with the time he had ascertained from astrologers. So the words spoken through Jeremiah and the prophet were fulfilled. A voice was heard in Ramah, wailing and loud laments. It was Rachel weeping for her children and refusing all consolation because there were no more. The time came that Herod died, and the angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and said to him, "Rise up, take the child and his mother, and go with them to the land of Israel, for the men who threatened the child's life are dead." So he rose, took the mother and child with him, and he came to the land of Israel. Hearing, however, that Archelaus had succeeded his father Herod as the king of Judea, he was afraid to go there. And being warned by a dream, he withdrew to the region of Galilee, that he settled in a town called Nazareth. This was to fulfill the words spoken through the prophets. He shall be called a Nazarene. That's not quite the nativity story, but somewhat of it.
Where did that come from?
The New Testament Matthew, the New English Bible. So we still have our thorns burning. They look like they're actually doing a good job. Now, afterwards, after it's burned to ash, us as a family are to jump over 3 times and make a wish, and hopefully we will have prosperity for the coming year.
Jump over this whole thing?
Well, we'll take that off, and then it won't be on fire.
Get the riches on fire.
Yeah, we
You get riches of riches.
Maybe we should put the fire bucket on the ground after all.
Yeah, that's what I was, well, we can take it off.
Yeah, maybe we could
Well, yeah, I want to.